Egotastic FunTime.
Hey gang, I'm JP and welcome back to Talking The Orville on Egotastic FunTime. Today we're gonna have a great time talking about part 1 of the Orville Season 2 finale, where Kelly is forced to deal with her past behavior when brought face to face with somebody she used to know. Ed unexpectedly getting a second chance at love, Portis and Clyden stepping up to the streets, and the future of the Orville being at risk when they try to put right what once went wrong and hoping that the next leap will be the leap home. Wait, that's not right. Ed and Kelly's entire relationship is put at risk when the ship comes across a strange time distortion that threatens to change everything that we know. In the Orville Season 2 Episode 13, Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow. In Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow, we find Ed, Kelly, Gordon, and Tala having drinks together in the mess hall. Ed reminds Kelly that he's still interested in the two of them getting back together, but she doesn't think it's a good idea for the captain and commander to be in a relationship. Isaac has been expanding upon Dr. Aronov's work with the anti-banana ray in the hopes of developing a viable technology for time travel. Kelly arrives to remind John to perform a solarium condenser field analysis when suddenly the Orville gets hit by a massive gravitational wave that causes the Aronov device to bring an unexpected guest aboard the Orville. Isaac informs the bridge that he believes something is wrong with Commander Grayson, but the commander is already on the bridge and says she's fine.
Inform Lieutenant Chiali we have an intruder in Science Lab 1.
The crew learn that their new visitor is Kelly from 7 years in the past, and from her point of view, she only just went on her first date with Ed last night. Isaac and John theorize that the gravitational wave somehow amplified the temporal field from the Aronov device, and being that Commander Grayson was there at the time thinking about her first date with Ed, the device brought her past self to the present, and they have no idea if it's possible to send her back. And if that doesn't make complete sense to you, don't worry, because you're not the only one.
You guys will not get me into a discussion of time travel logic. I would rather chew broken glass.
Ed and present Kelly try to figure out what to do with past Kelly, speculating that if it's a tangent timeline, her knowledge of the future shouldn't affect anything. But if it's a single timeline, they should lock her up in a room to stop her from learning anything about the future. And since they don't know which it is, they lock her away just to be safe. Just kidding, you guys. No, they tell her everything.
Wait. Who cheated on who? Well, I wouldn't say cheated.
That's kind of a texture
exactly,
thing.
Because we later found out the Retepsian was in heat.
John and Isaac inform Captain Mercer that the gravitational wave is a natural phenomenon, and they don't know of a way to send past Kelly back to her own time. Assuming she's stuck in the future for good, past Kelly becomes part of the crew and makes new friends.
I think so. Man, this girl can really soak it up.
At Union Point, I used to drink all night and then report for duty the next morning.
What?
In the hopes of not letting present Kelly's mistakes become her own, and her first date with Ed still being fresh in her mind, past Kelly asks Ed out on a second date. What? Seeing this as a second chance to be with the woman he loves, Ed goes on a date, but only after speaking with Commander Grayson first, who reminds him that he's also 7 years older.
You've changed, just like me. And you may find it harder to get along with young me than you think.
Ed learns that Kelly was right about Kelly. Present Kelly was right about past Kelly. Captains aren't trying to get with ravers.
Come dance, you guys! Yeah, it's so fun out there.
I think we're just gonna stay here and finish our drinks.
What?
We're just gonna finish our drinks.
The bathroom's that way.
Commander Grayson confronts past Kelly about dating Ed. She lets her know how devastated they both were after the divorce, and she doesn't want that to happen again. Past Kelly says she doesn't plan on making the same mistakes and that she's disappointed in the way present Kelly's life turned out.
There were 3 things I wanted in life, and you haven't come close on one.
Later, when Ed and past Kelly are about to smush their privates together, Ed has second thoughts because he realizes that he's still in love with present Kelly. But just then, 2 Kalon spheres show up in range, and Mercer summons all senior officers to the bridge. With the rest of the crew not knowing what to do, past Kelly comes up with a plan to hide the ship in a nearby ice rink by venting water that then freezes over, hiding the Orville from sight.
Shh, be very quiet, you guys. You don't want the Kalon to find us.
Damn it, Portis!
We must return to the dance!
After escaping the Kalon, no thanks to Bortus and Clyden's horny Mocklin gyrating, past and present Kelly begin to make amends. But John and Isaac let them know that they just made a breakthrough and think it's possible now to send past Kelly back to her own time. They decide to perform a memory wipe to ensure that she won't change anything. After recreating the conditions of the gravitational wave and powering up the newly improved anti-banana ray, past Kelly is transported back to the exact moment she left. Just then, she gets a communication from Ed. It's the morning after their first date, and he's asking her out again. It's sweet, and of course, Kelly says,
I just don't see us working out. I'm sorry.
Wait, what? Why did she turn him down? Oh, that's right. Ed has no game.
Wait, where's he? Wait, how am I supposed to?
You gotta back him up.
Gordy, look at my hand. I'm pressing the top button.
Yeah,
see?
you're not tapping the left arrow.
Oh my God, this is so stupid.
Oh, wow, you guys. Another amazing episode of The Orville, and it was a time travel episode. What? Hello? Huh? Excuse me. Who the hell are you? I'm JP. That's impossible because I'm JP. How did you get here? I don't know. I just left the movie theater. There was this bright light, and then all of a sudden I was here. Movie theater? What movie did you see? That new Star Trek reboot movie directed by J.J. Abrams. It was alright, I guess. I wish they'd bring Star Trek back to television, though. Star Trek 2009? Duh. That's what year it is right now, dummy. No, it's not. It's 2019, and they did bring Star Trek back to television. They just finished another season the other day. Oh, Star Trek's back on TV. You must totes love it, brah. We must return to the dance.
The night is ours!
Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow deals with one of my favorite types of sci-fi storylines, you guys. Time travel! I've always gravitated towards time travel stuff, and there's so many different types of time travel rules you have to deal with, it can be very confusing. But I loved how the show cleverly keeps telling the audience not to overthink this by having Ed basically keep telling everyone not to worry about it. No one truly understands time travel. He'd rather chew on broken glass than try to figure out the logistics of time. And it's totally true. Are we dealing with Back to the Future rules where traveling back can drastically change your future, and sometimes even traveling to the future can change your past? Or is it like Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure where you can make changes to your present right now as long as you remember to travel back in time to make those changes? Is it like Quantum Leap where you can change the past but it doesn't seem to affect the lives of anyone else except for the person whose life you change? Or is it like that episode of Darkwing Duck where he goes to the future only to find out he no longer exists there because he disappeared from the timeline the moment he left it to go to the future? What? Time travel's hard. Ed and Kelly never got together. How is that going to change the rest of the universe? Last year, Scott Grimes mentioned in an interview that there's going to be a 2-part episode coming up this season dealing with time travel where maybe everyone hasn't met everyone yet. So I'm guessing that one of the results of past Kelly's decision not to go out with Ed again is we're going to have a split crew in the next episode. Half of the crew on the Orville and the other half of the crew on Ed's ship, the Wilbur. Oh no! The Redenbacher. Maybe in this new timeline, the Kalon actually did end up destroying Earth, or maybe the Kalon never invaded Earth in the first place because Gordon never assaulted Isaac with those Mr. Potato Head pieces. Also, why was Isaac trying to expand upon Dr. Aronov's research so that the anti-banana ray could one day be used for time travel? Time travel's dangerous. When explaining to John and how the device might work, he made sure to mention that.
Eventually, it could be used to link a temporal field to the neurological pathway of a biological or artificial organism.
Do you think Isaac was hoping to use the device himself to go back in time and stop the Kalon from destroying their creators? I'm trying to review this episode, but time travel always brings up more questions than it answers. There's just too many variables to consider. Like that episode of The Next Generation, Cause and Effect, where the Enterprise crew are stuck in a time loop without knowing it that always leads them to being destroyed by Frasier. Or yesterday's Enterprise, where a time distortion changes the timeline to where Tasha Yar never got killed to death by a tar monster? What about Times Squared, where Picard comes in contact with a near future version of Picard, and they're all trying to figure out what happened to him so they can save themselves from being destroyed just like he was? What if the next episode of the Orville simply takes place in an alternate branch of the timeline that doesn't affect the main branch of the timeline, just like that episode of Star Trek Enterprise called In a Mirror Darkly? Adrian Palicki did an incredible job playing both versions of Kelly, who really did seem to be almost two different people. Younger Kelly is brilliant, but still is sowing her wild oats. She likes to drink and party and dance and slide down conduits like a greased up hot dog being flung down a wiener chute. Older Kelly, on the other hand, is more mature, calculating, ready to take charge. She's the product of all of her experiences from the last 7 years. I'm guessing having an entire planet base their society around you over the course of 2,000 years can do that to you. I changed a hell of a lot during that 7-year span of my life, and I never served aboard a spaceship, let alone got cool whipped in the face by a blue Retepsian twice. Also, are we sure that they actually sent past Kelly back in time in the first place? There's that scene with Kelly and Claire chatting over drinks, and Claire tells her that maybe it's time to reassess life and really think about what she wants. Then the show takes a beat at that moment where we watch Kelly think about it for a second. Present Kelly tells past Kelly about how the divorce absolutely destroyed Ed, and Gordon confirms this when telling Ed that he thinks it's a bad idea to date past Kelly.
I saw what that divorce did to you, and I was the one that had to slowly scrape you off the floor month by month. I don't want to have to do that again, for both of our sakes.
In the pilot episode, Admiral Halsey tells Ed that he would have been made captain a long time ago if he wasn't so torn up from the divorce. Kelly regrets being with Ed, not because she doesn't love him, but because she loves him so much that she hates what their breakup did to him. And Ed gives a heartfelt apology to past Kelly for the way his past self is going to act. What if present Kelly ended up trading places with past Kelly so that she can go back and do everything differently? Not just for selfish reasons, you guys, but also to prevent Ed from the aftermath of their divorce. What? We also have no idea what was up with those two Kaelon spheres that seem to be looking for them. We've had no Kaelon sightings at all since the Identity two-parter. Maybe those Kaelons weren't randomly on patrol, you guys. Perhaps they were specifically looking for the Orville because they know about the time distortion, or perhaps they're there to help because they realize time travel is too dangerous for anyone to use. Perhaps those Kaelons are Isaacs from the future trying to stop all of this from happening because it is his fault. In the preview for the upcoming finale, we see what looks like the Orville blowing up. Does this mean that the Orville is going to be destroyed at some point in the new timeline? If so, why? Do you think the alternate timeline crew figures out that there's something wrong with their time and the only way to fix it is to blow up the ship, which somehow is what ended up causing the gravitational wave in the original timeline that caused all of this mess in the first place? Time travel stories should cause you to have a headache, you guys. This episode didn't give me a headache per se. I was able to follow everything pretty well when watching it. That is until the very last moment when Kelly turned Ed down for that second date. Now my head is pounding harder than Bortus at his filthy holographic sex lagoon. Speaking of headaches and other types of aches, the dance club scene was amazing. Past Kelly and Tala are dancing up a storm, and Ed and Gordon are there sipping their drinks, wishing they were anywhere else. The days of loud music and dance floor butthole drama are behind them, okay? Past Kelly essentially asking Ed out for a group hang in the simulator was hilarious to me. I hate group hangs. Yaphet was having a pretty good time spreading the jelly around, but Bortus and Clyden cutting a rug was completely unexpected. Bortus and Clyden were going a little too hard with this scene. Maybe somebody slipped them some drugs or something, but then Bortus mentioned that the music sounded a lot like a popular Mocklin mating song, so then it all made sense to me. Oh, they're not on drugs. They're just salaciously aroused by the music in their crotches. Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow was directed by Gary Rake and written by Janet Lynn. The music was composed by John Debney. The title may come from a soliloquy from Shakespeare's Macbeth, but there's also a short sci-fi story by Kurt Vonnegut of the same name. According to science consultant Andre Bormanis, the show had been wanting to have a time travel episode for some time now, but they realized almost every possible time travel story had already been written. They wanted to find a new approach approach that hadn't been done before on other science fiction shows, which is an almost impossible task at this point. Seth MacFarlane had wanted Ed and Kelly's relationship to take a back seat this season, which is why they waited until the finale to revisit their story. Adrienne Palicki says that the two-part finale were her favorite episodes working on the show so far because they were the hardest acting experiences of her life. She requested a body double to act as the other Kelly in the scenes, and Michelle Boyd was cast to play the role. You might remember Michelle as Lieutenant Dorset from Nothing Left on Earth Excepting Fishes. Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow is only the first of the Orville's two-part finale, which will conclude in the upcoming episode, The Road Not Taken. There's only one more episode of the Orville left, you guys, and we have no idea what state we're going to find the crew in the finale. Why did past Kelly decide not to go out with Ed like she was supposed to do? The entire premise of the show relies on Ed and Kelly getting divorced and then finding themselves serving as captain and commander on the same ship. It's kind of important. If they never got together, that means Ed was probably promoted to captain a lot earlier in his career before there was an opening for the USS Orville. He's probably captaining another ship in the alternate timeline. If Ed isn't on the Orville, then neither is Gordon, you guys. Claire only requested to be part of the crew because she thought they would need her help if Ed Mercer was the captain of the ship. Kelly only requested to be stationed on the Orville to help out Ed, but now she doesn't even really know who Ed is anymore. John never would have been promoted to Chief of Engineering without Kelly, nor would Lieutenant Dan have been able to get music put in the elevators if he didn't run into Ed and Kelly arguing on the elevator that one day. If John and Gordon never met, that means they didn't change Bortus's mind about Topa by sharing the tale of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer with him. Without Ed, maybe Alara never mended her relationship with her parents and she's still serving aboard the Orville. Wait, Tala is only there because Ed requested a Selayan to replace Alara, which means Tala wouldn't be there at all either. Will Alara be returning to serve aboard the Orville while maybe Tala is serving aboard whatever ship Ed is the captain of, assuming he's a captain at all? Woo! Kelly no doubt changed everything when she decided to end it with Ed and back in her time. One small change like that will absolutely lead to huge alterations to the timeline. It's an unavoidable constant in the butterfly effect. Oh, Ashton Kutcher, we really stepped in it now. Without Ed and Kelly there to stop the Krill from stealing the anti-banana ray from Epsilon 2, that means that it might be in the hands of the Krill right now, and we know how those sons of bitches operate, just flying around, exerting their dominance over everything, probably invading other planets and using the Aronov device to age everyone's bananas by 100 years. What a bunch of jerks. Wait! I'm getting off track when I'm so close to figuring this all out. Okay, you guys. So, Isaac's work with the Aronov time device brought Kelly from 7 years in the past to the Orville. Okay, before they send her back to her own time, thus restoring the timeline, they perform a mind wipe. Past Kelly gets sent back for some reason, but discontinues her relationship with Ed. Thus, Ed and Kelly never serve aboard the Orville, and because they never served aboard the Orville, all the events that lead up to them being hit by that gravitational wave at the same time that the Aronov device is powered on doesn't happen, which then leads to past Kelly never being brought back to the future in the first place, which in turn means she never breaks up with Ed. Thus, vis-a-vis, etc., the timeline completely returns to normal without anybody doing anything, meaning the Orville Season 2 finale will just be a regular episode. Boom. Contemplating the effects of time travel on the universe isn't very hard when you have a beautiful mind like mine, but it did kind of confuse the part of my brain that keeps me from geologiaing all over myself. What a mess. I probably should use the restroom.
The restroom? It is that way.
Okay, that's it. That's all I wanted to talk about today, and I talked about it. How about you? Why do you think past Kelly ended up having second thoughts about Ed, even after having her memory wiped? Do you think there's a chance we'll be seeing Halston Sage return as Alara in the finale? How are the crew going to restore the timeline if they're not even aware of anything being different? What? You can let me know what you think by joining the conversation below.
Today's episode of Talking the Orville was brought to you by the 1.21 Gigawatt Guys and their Doc Brown DeLorean time machine from Back to the Future Part 1. Fully stocked with working flux capacitor, nuclear reactor, time coils, a decommissioned hoverboard, and when this thing hits 88 miles per hour, you're gonna see some serious savings. Because this DeLorean is available for your next party, meeting, or event by clicking on the 1.21 Gigawatt Guys link below. Great Scott, that's heavy.
Thank you so much much for liking, sharing, and supporting my stupid show. It really does mean the world to me. I'll see you very soon, and as always, I hope all your times are egotastic fun times. Love you, bye-bye! Hello? President JP? It's me, past JP. I've come to talk to you about your kids. Something's got to be done about your kids!
Egotastic fun time, we're gonna have a great time. Egotastic fun time, give me all your money. Give him all your money. You will find it funny. Just give me money. I love money. Give me all your 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 money.